Hello everyone, my name is Kim and I am Barbara's daughter. Welcome to my Flosstube. I am picking up after having taken a break from making Flosstube videos. If you've watched my channel before, I started making them during the pandemic and then stopped when life got a little busy. So it's probably been almost 2 years since I recorded a Flosstube. And I decided that it was time to come back and share some of the stitching that I've been doing. So things are great here. I am still working in the school I was in before. My boys are good, my husband's good. We're just plugging along, and I'm hoping that I can squeeze out the time to make these videos. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be doing them once a month, every 2 weeks, definitely not every week because I know I don't have the time for that. So we'll see as time goes by how frequently I can get them done. So since it has been so long since I made a video, and since I think there are probably some people who have never seen my previous videos, I figured I would start today just by showing a couple recent finishes and then going through all my whips so that you can see what I've been stitching on since I last made a video. Most of my whips I was not working on 2 years ago, although there might be 1 or 2 that are still here after that time. But I'm just gonna do that today, and I have about 25 whips, so I think that'll probably be enough for today. And then next time I can go back to like a more regular video, which is showing you what I've been working on since my last video, and haul and plans and all that stuff. So a couple recent finishes that are waiting to be framed or fully finished. And I don't have the patterns here, but what I'll do is write across the bottom of the screen the name of the design. Okay, I found my board and I also turned around because I noticed I have some shadows. So I'm filming down in my basement and we have great lighting down here, but I moved my furniture around, and I guess where I put my cutting table where I was going to film off of, I'm getting a lot of shadows. So this is working out better. So anyway, this is Brenda Gervais' design, and I stitched on 36 count. I don't know the exact linen that I used, except that I can say this is probably a silk weaver. And I used the called for colors for this. I did not stitch, there were some snowflakes up the top and I didn't stitch those. So this is supposed to be made into a stocking, and I will do that to fully finish it eventually. It's just a small, like, decorative stocking. So that is one of my more recent finishes. Another one that I did that I think I was working on 2 years ago, so some of you who saw those videos might remember, is again a Brenda Gervais design. I think it's called Brick House Sampler, but I'm gonna put the name down on the bottom in case I'm wrong. And I love the way this came out. Let's see if you can see the whole thing. It is stitched on Picture This Plus Ale in 36, actually it's 32 count. Most of the time I stitch in 36 count, but this one was 32 count, and it is not the called for colors. So I just substituted, I know I used a Victorian motto red for the house, and I had a lot of just threads from my stash that I used for this. So unfortunately, this is kind of a weird size, so I'm gonna have to just be on the lookout for a frame that will work for this one and get that fully finished, hopefully sooner than later. The last finish that I have to show you is from Hands On Design, and she has a lot of these, again, the name will be down at the bottom, but she has a lot of these that are done on black, and I decided the lettering on hers is white. I'll actually maybe insert a picture here of what it's supposed to look like from her pattern, but I decided to kind of switch that and stitch it on, this is a 36 count vintage country mocha, and I used black where all the white was. And then I just pulled colors from my stash that were bright. I have a lot of, well, not a lot, maybe like 4 or 5 different cross-stitch pictures in similar colors that I want to hang on the walls down here. We just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I have this pattern, and I also have the one that is a quilting pattern that looks like this. I'm gonna do it in the same colors I did this one in, and then hopefully make the walls look a little less bare down here and hang up all of my cross stitch that looks similar. So once I get my my things hung, I'll do a little tour of that. But right now we just have kind of blank walls down here. All right, so I'm gonna go through and show you all my whips. So the first thing I did yesterday when I wanted to get ready for this video was I ironed everything, which is fantastic because now I love going into a project bag and pulling out something that's like not wrinkled and like ironed and nice to stitch on. But I don't normally do that. I only did it when I was filming Flosstube videos. So I'm excited to have freshly ironed cross stitch pieces now. Also, I used to keep track of everything in a book of days, like so many stitchers do, but I haven't been doing that. And so if I don't know the exact fabric, I apologize because I wasn't keeping track of that. Most of it is 36 count, and a lot of it is Picture This Plus because I belonged to the Fabric of the Month Club a couple years ago, so I have a lot of that. But I'll try the best I can to match up exactly what it is. I did get a just a blank planner that I can fill in because I didn't want to buy the book of days in May. I figured the year's almost half over. So I made my own May, and I've been writing down this past week what I've been stitching on. So the next video, I'll know all that information. And when I start something new, I'll know the fabric and the threads and everything from here on out. But bear with me this time with all these whips. So I have a couple that as I was ironing, I decided I wanted to either start over or abandon completely. So we'll start with those. So the first one that I do want to do, but I want to start it over, is A Savior's Praise. This is what the pattern looks like. It's by Shakespeare's Peddler. It came out a couple years ago, and I started this probably 4 years ago. And I started it on my birthday, actually, which is in June, coming up. And I got this far. And I really had trouble picking out the fabric and colors. So she uses, in here, a fabric, I'm actually going to pull it out and tell you what she uses, that I couldn't get. So it is 40 Count Beach Brew by R&R Reproductions. And at the time, I couldn't get it. She does say Flax Linen by Zweigart would be a good substitute. So that's what this is. And it's 36 count Flax by Zweigart. And I like the fabric just fine. But it's, I don't know. I don't think the colors are really showing up on it. I don't really love it. And I kind of messed around with the colors too, because, they are anchor flosses, and so I did go ahead and get all the anchor flosses, but I wasn't liking how it was coming out. So this is a big piece of fabric. It's like, it must be a half yard because, or a fat half, I should say. And I hate to waste it when I don't like the way this is looking. And I happen to have a piece that I want to do and I need a big piece of fabric for. So I'm going to stop working on this one and see if I can use this particular fabric for that other piece that I want to do, which is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. And maybe look for a different fabric where my floss will stand out better on it. I don't love it. And I should note that this is actually, I didn't mention this, this is like a redo. So I stitched it once, I started it once and stopped. And now this is the second time I've started it and I still don't like the way it looks. And I mean, I've put in a good amount of stitches on here. So I don't know. It might be time to abandon this project altogether, but at least put it in timeout for a while and see how I feel about it in a few months or so. So A Savior's Praise is not a whip, but we're gonna see what we can do with that fabric and how I feel about it in a little while. Another one that I think I'm just not going to stitch this right now. It's called 272 Words. It's by Primrose Needleworks. And I really love patriotic type stitching. But I don't know, I just feel like I started stitching this and didn't really love it. It's a lot of words, and not that I mind stitching on words, but the whole thing is basically words, and I think I was just a little bored. Even, you'll see I didn't stitch much on it. So I'm using Victorian Motto threads just from my stash for this. I'm not using the called for colors. And this is a piece of fabric from XU Designs. It is called Rustic Drab, and it's 36 count. It is also a huge piece of fabric, and I have stitched this much of the pattern. And actually, I think the colors are great on here. So in this case, it's more just not really wanting to stitch the pattern right now. And again, having this huge, expensive piece of fabric that maybe I could use for something else that I'm feeling a little bit more passionate about. So I'm going to take both of these fabrics and the pandemic pattern and see if I have some floss that would match either of these that would look good. And I'll keep you posted on whether I start pandemic on one of these or get a different fabric or how it goes. So onto my real actual whips. Something I've been working on this week. I started it in January. I'm doing really well, and I guess I'm almost about halfway through. This is called Huckleberry Farm by The Blue Flower. And I bought this immediately when it was published, which I think was might have been 2020. And just loved it. I bought the called for fabric, which is Picture This Plus Shale in 36 count. I got the called for colors. And I just had it in my stash all kitted up for so long. And then finally, this January, I decided I'm going to start this. And what I did was I started working on it every weekend. So I worked on something else during the week, but I only worked on this during the weekend. And I did that for like 3 months, definitely through March, maybe part of April too. And I made a lot of progress. So it was really good to do that. I don't really like a lot of rules in my stitching, but that rule worked out great. So this is what I have so far. And I don't know, let me actually put this behind the board here so you can see. I have the border all the way down to the bottom there. And that butterfly is pretty much the center of the whole piece. So I am doing pretty good. Definitely have a lot more to do. There's a lot of animals left and a woman standing on the side. But we're getting there. So I'm really enjoying stitching that. So that's whip number 1. In April, I decided I was going to do a lot of smalls. And so I did get a lot done, but these are some that I haven't finished. Next time, hopefully I'll be able to show you all the finishes and fully finishes that I have from what I did in April. I'm in the middle of making most of them into pillows right now, so I wasn't going to show that today, but hopefully by next video they'll be done and I can show you how that worked out. But I have a lot of big projects, so for April I said, you know, I'm just going to do smalls, finish a bunch of things, and then I'll be able to like get some project bags out of my baskets and fill them up with new projects. So what I have been working on and not finished as far as smalls, I have this Biscornu, and it's by Heartstring Samplery, and I love anything with birds on it, so I really liked this. And the front half I already finished. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I use the called for colors, and this is a 36 count, and I don't know, it's an XU design, but I don't know the color. So that's the front, and then the second side is basically the same colors in a striped pattern. So you can see that's what I've got so far. I really just need to finish that up so that I can try. I haven't ever made a Biscornu before. I'm sure I can do it, but I haven't ever cross-stitched one, so I haven't had the opportunity to try to finish them. So this is kind of on my short list of I better finish this so I can fully finish it and see what it's like to do a Biscornu. Okay, other smalls that I've been working on. This is sort of a whip, and I have a couple finishes here. The Hands-on Design Year of Celebrations 2. I did buy and start the Year Celebrations one, never got through them all, and then saw this one, and I actually really like these designs even better than the first one. So I said, all right, I'm gonna do these. So I started with January and finished. And this is a Picture This Plus 36 count, and I don't know if it's ale, but it's dark and a little bit orangey like ale is, so it might be ale. But the white shows up really great on it, so that's why I picked it. So that's January, and then I did February. And then I started March, but I haven't finished it. I have probably about half of it done. So I really just need to sit down and finish this one and kind of catch up, get to the point where I'd like to be caught up. So I'm doing May now, but we'll see. I don't really, like I said, do well with plans and things. I kind of just stitch what I want for a couple days and then I switch projects. So I do a lot of stitching, but I can never really say what I'm going to get accomplished in a given month because I don't know what I'm going to feel like stitching. Okay, another small that was a finish and a whip is, this is a Heart and Hand Honey of a Tiny Town. And I finished this one, but I have this in the project bag with it. And I was going to add it to the end of this, but I think I'm going to do it separately actually. So what I have finished is the Tiny Town piece, which is super cute. And this is on a 36 count XU design. I think it's rustic drab, but I'm not 100% sure. So that's done, but I have plenty of fabric left. So I'm gonna take this small pattern and just do I'll probably do a drum for the Tiny Town and then do like a flat fold finish for the little, this one is called A Honey of a Frill. So for that one, I'll do like a flat fold. Okay, next small project I have is from Shakespeare's Peddler. And it is, this is my PDF copy that I printed out, Antique Cups and Spoons. When I was little, my grandmother had teacups and I have inherited them from her. So let me get my board. I wanted to do this, probably make it into a pillow. So I've just done a couple of the teacups and I started the word. So that really wouldn't take too long to finish. I've been doing this when I have been taking my son to, he's been doing archery on Friday nights. So it's like a free shoot thing at this archery club. And so I really just sit there for 2 hours. So I've been bringing that the past couple times to work on. Actually, the lighting is great there. So it's a good place to cross stitch. I decided I wanted to stitch a bunch of strawberries. Not strawberries like we make them into strawberries, but designs with strawberries in them. So I took and I don't have the pattern, they're PDFs that I printed out, so I put them away once I was done. But I have a couple finished. This is from Stitching with the Housewives. It's a roundabout, that one, and I did it not in the called for colors, but in the same type of colors that I just went through my stash and found colors that looked the same as what they had. And then I did, this one was the Sweet Life. Now this was done on black with white letters and I switched that. I'm stitching this on, I think this is a, just a Zweigart, I think it's platinum. So it's not a hand dyed fabric and it is just kind of like a beige color. So I use the black for the letters there. So I have some other ones that I want to do and I'll do them on the same fabric. So I'll do the words black for this one. So very sweet. And then there's some more roundabouts. So there's You're My Jam I'm gonna do. And then Strawberry Patch. And then I'm gonna do the seed packet, Strawberry Seeds. I just thought that would be like a nice thing to have up in May and June, like a little vignette, I guess, of strawberry finishes. Okay, so now I have some bigger projects. There probably are some more smalls mixed in, but those are the ones that I didn't quite get to finishing in April. So we'll move on to some of my bigger projects. This is one that I might have been working on 2 years ago. I have not made much progress on this. It's The Shores of Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. And I love this. I'm stitching it on 36 count Picture This Plus. I don't know what color this is, but I want to say maybe it's like oaken. It's one of the quite darkly variegated fabrics. So I did one whole block up here in the corner, the lighthouse block, top left. And then I moved down and did the started the center, but I haven't finished that, obviously. So I'm working on that, but I haven't touched this in months. So it was nice to pull all this out and say, oh, I really need to get back to that because I love it. And I really enjoy stitching on large pieces with a lot of stitching. I just started my first HAED, which I'll get to in a few minutes, but this is certainly not that, but it has a lot of stitching on it. So I just like that. So that is my Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And then another large project that I have is from 2021, the Modern Folk Embroidery Stitch Along. I guess it was a mystery stitch along. You got a page every month. And I did not keep up with it. This is called Fruits of Plenty. I am stitching this on a, again, a Picture This Plus. I don't know what the, it might be ale. I use ale a lot. It's one of my favorite Picture This Plus fabrics, but I don't know for sure. I'm using a Mrs. Sadis silk. She makes, let me see if I can, I don't think it has a name, but it has a number, but I'll show you. I have some that I haven't taken off yet. So it's Mrs. Sadis, and she is from Spain. And this is number 14, but it doesn't have a name. And I love her silk. It is slightly variegated, as you can see there and in my cross stitch. And she has great customer service. She sends things really quickly. And I just love the way it looks on this fabric. You can see I've gotten 5 months done. So getting there, but I really need to get going on this too. I have a lot of mistakes in this, but I don't think you can tell because there's just so much stitching. I've just kind of fudged it along wherever I had a mistake. So I really love this and I love stitching on it. I like that it's actually one thread color, makes it easier. And so again, another big project I have to get back to. I'm going to just pause right here to put this one basket of whips to the side and get my other one out. Okay, I got a chair too, because what am I doing standing for this whole video? So the next whip I wanted to show you is actually the HAED that I just started. So I am doing Farewell to Anger, and I'm doing it in Pattern Keeper on my son's Kindle. So this is, sorry for the glare, but this is what it looks like. And well, what it will look like when it's done. Right now it looks nothing like this. Like I said, this is my first HAED, and I've only been working on it for like a couple weeks, a week or two. I have 1,659 stitches in. Sounds great, right? Except there are 76,725 stitches total. So I don't have much done. 2% I'm actually on. But I'm using the Easy Grid fabric, 25 count. I actually really like working with it. And this is where I'm at. So it's just a bunch of dark tree branches and colorful leaves so far, and the blue background of the, you know, somewhat nighttime sky. And you can see all my threads are kind of parked there. Kind of doing a diagonal, stitching on the diagonal. I'm kind of parking my threads, kind of just doing it however I want to because it's the first time I've done this before. but I really am enjoying this. It's very slow going, obviously, because there's I think there's 90 colors. There's a lot of confetti, but then there's also points where you're stitching like 30 or 40 stitches of the same color. So I like that variety. It's very calming. It's very soothing to me to stitch it. So I do like that. I put my 90 colors in this zipper. It's actually for Pokemon cards. It's a zipper like binder. It has a 3-ring binder, and it has these little cards. And I just put these are repositionable labels from Avery, I think. And I just wrote the DMC number and stuck the floss inside. 90 colors barely fit because I shoved the whole skein in there, which probably didn't need to do. But I got this idea actually from Jan Hicks of Jan Hicks Creates. She has a Flosstube here, and she showed how she set hers up, I think for the same HAED, Farewell to Anger. But I think she used like a different binder. This is just one that I didn't want a huge one, and this is a nice size. It's probably like 7x9 kind of a thing. And so that's what I'm using to hold all my threads. And like I said, I'm using Pattern Keeper because I don't know how you would stitch a HAED looking at the paper pattern. There's so many symbols, it's very confusing, but Pattern Keeper is like one of those coloring apps where you just click on it. Oh, I stitched that, and it colors it in for you so you know where you are. And it's a really great app. I actually have mostly Apple products. So like I said, I have my son's old Kindle. The battery only lasts about a day, but I figured if I have a Kindle Paperwhite that I read with, but I figured if I'm going to use Pattern Keeper, I would also maybe use it for Pandemic. So I think eventually I might get myself a Kindle Fire for stitching. Right now, it just seems kind of silly to have it for just the one app. This is working. I just have to remember to charge it. So, but we'll see what happens in the future. This next whip is Turkish Delight by Rosewood Manor. And this was actually, my sister started this cross stitch probably 6 months to a year ago. And she passed away this January. I think that's probably all I want to say about that right now. But I do want to finish this cross stitch that she was working on and hang it up. She happened to use a different fabric. And the thing about my sister is that like I would not look at this and be able to tell what it was going to look like on a different fabric. I'm not really that good at visualizing something like that. I'm happy to change fabrics, but that was so bright pink. I just had a hard time imagining it. But she put it on a blue-gray. This is Picture This Plus, and everything on here is what she stitched except for one little band that I'll point out to you in a second. But she stitched the top 2 rows of letters and the little started the triangle up there in the left, and she did the borders. I did this just this last week, the band that is in between the 2 letters. So let me just hook this on my board so I can show you better. So in between the 2 rows of letters, there's these pink flowers, and I did that border, but everything else is what she stitched. And so I'm really happy to have this. I have a lot of smaller things that she was working on that I've already finished. And then I have some things that she had made for me that she finished herself. So this is nice to be working on and just thinking about her while I'm stitching. So that is Turkish Delight by Rosewood Manor. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know the fabric color. It's definitely a gray Picture This Plus, but that's as far as I know. I am using the called for colors on that because that's what she was using. Okay, next whip is a Scarlet House floral motif sampler. And this I am stitching on 36 count. It's a silk weaver fabric called Driftwood. And I have about a third of it done. So I really enjoyed working on this. I just got a little distracted and moved on to something else. But I love when you have like one little motif and you finish it and you feel like a sense of accomplishment there. So I have to obviously get back to it. But this, like I said, is a silk weaver fabric. They now are no longer called silk weaver. It's actually hand dyed by Jim. Jim is the person who was dyeing for silk weaver, and he has an Etsy shop. So I'll try and remember to link that below. And I know that he has closed down his store, Needleworker's Delight, here in New Jersey, temporarily because he's looking for a new location. So right now he's doing like Etsy sales and pop-up shops and things like that. So like I said, I will link the Hand Dyed by Jim Etsy shop below. Just writing myself a note so that when I'm editing, I remember to do that. Okay, so floral motif sampler, really, I am using the called for colors for that, by the way. And like I said, Driftwood by Silk Weaver is the fabric. Okay, next project is a Hands Across the Sea samplers, Ann Thomas, 1854. I have not done much on this, but what I have done is so pretty. I love the colors. I'm using the called for silks, which are, well, soie d'Alger. I don't know, probably not saying that right. They're not the 100.3s. They're the, I guess, thicker ones. And I've just done the top left corner, but look at those colors. They're so pretty. Open that up a little bit more. This fabric, I feel like I wrote what this was. R&R Stars Hollow Blend. I wrote it in the selvage. I should do that with all my fabric, and then I could tell you what everything is. So I absolutely love those colors, especially on this fabric. I don't know why I haven't done more of it, but when you have a lot of big projects, sometimes you don't get a lot done on those big projects. So again, something that I just need to kind of get back to. And that's actually why I got this planner as well, because if I'm not keeping track of what I'm stitching, then I find myself not stitching on everything. But if I look back on May and say, oh, well, here's a bunch of things I didn't stitch in May, let's work on that in June, I feel like I'll just get to more things that way. We'll see. But I'm hoping, because I feel like this section of my whip parade is all the things I haven't touched in a really long time. Like this next one. This is With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, Manor at Quaker Hill. And I was smart enough to stick the tag on to tell you that I am doing this on 36 count Picture This Plus Legacy. I have not done much on this. Sound like a broken record, but I am using the called for colors, and I really like it. It's a lot of soft pinks and beige, and there's some aqua in it. I just need to spend some time on it. So that is definitely something I want to get back to. I should tell you also that all of my projects are in project bags that I would say 99% were made by my mother, Barbara. And so I don't really buy a lot of project bags. I do have one or two that I made that aren't the vinyl front ones, but I've gotten questions before about the project bags and where I've gotten them, and my mom doesn't sell them, but she will make them for me if I ask nicely. So my next whip is Isabella Jackson, 1829, from the Scarlet House. And this is being stitched with the call for colors on, you guessed it, Picture This Plus Ale, because that's one of my favorites. And I love the way that this is turning out. Really like the colors. I have really not done a lot. I did the top and side border. I think that's the side border. Yeah, all the way down, because you can see I turned the corner. But really nice colors. I like the way they show up on this fabric. So I again, just something I have to get back to stitching on. I stitch almost every day, but when you have so many projects, it's hard to show a lot of progress on any one thing. So just keep plugging along and they eventually get finished. Okay, last one in this pile, and then I have one more pile to go. This is Lori Holt's Autumn Love. And I was really happy with my little thread conversion that I did here, because if you look at that, I love all those colors. They actually would look great down here with my brightly colored cross stitch hands-on design piece that I showed you. But to me, that doesn't really look like fall colors. My idea of fall colors is definitely a little bit darker and more muted. So I changed a lot of the colors to just darker, more fall-like versions of what I thought they should be. So these are all DMC, but not the called for DMC. And I just feel like it's a more fall-like palette. It still has some bright reds, orange, blues, but they're just not the same as the pattern. So I have done the row on the left. I was trying to just do all the boxes first, but then I got bored, and so I did stitch inside of the boxes on the left. And then I did the big box, so I'm ready to fill that in. And yeah, I think that I'm using this as my outline, a brown color instead of a gray, the way it is in the picture. So again, I'm hoping that just looks like a little bit more fall. This is a 36 count, I don't know what. It's not Picture This Plus, because I feel like I can always identify Picture This Plus by the way it feels. So it's definitely not that. So I'm going to guess it's a silk weaver fabric, but I'm sorry, I don't know. So that is Autumn Love. And I'm just going to pause again right here so I can push this out of the way and get my third pile ready to go. Okay, so last little bit of my whips. I am doing By the Bay Needle Arts Harbor Haven. My friend Kathy lent me all these patterns, and I have done the first one, and I am working on the second one. There are 12 in the series, and it goes together in one long piece. So far, I have done the first one, which is like that tree. Halfway through that tree is where the first and second one meet. So I've done the first one completely, and I'm most of the way done with the second one. And then I just have 10 more to go. But it will eventually be this long. And I have thought about maybe just doing these two and stopping and framing that scene and not doing all of them. But we'll have to see how I feel when I finish. I really enjoy stitching it. It's just that I have so many projects that sometimes I start thinking, well, maybe finishing part of it is better than never finishing all of it. So we'll see how that goes as I work my way through more of it. This is a project I just recently started, and I don't have the actual pattern. This is just a printout of the cover. It's Humming of the Bees by Blackbird Designs, and I love Blackbird. I could stitch on that designer exclusively. If you told me I could only have one designer, it would definitely be Blackbird. Everything they do is just, the color palette is very like soothing and calming, I feel like. So I really enjoy stitching on that. This is a Picture This Plus, and I think it's Fawn, 36 count. It is very darkly variegated, and I kind of put the stitching on the side where it was less variegation. So I went across the whole top and then started working my way down, and I did like part of the house here, and then I kind of stopped because I was feeling like, okay, enough house for now, and went up and did like a couple motifs up here above the house. So working on that, and it's not a terribly large sampler for Blackbird. I have a couple actually over behind the camera that I'm kitting up, come into my garden, and Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring, which are huge pieces. So this one is definitely not as big. So hopefully I can get this one done in a relatively short period of time and then start on the big ones. Okay, another big piece that I love is Reflect Soy? I don't know. It's French. G. Leger, 1898. And that picture doesn't really do it justice. It's so pretty. I took a conversion from Deb from Country Stitchers. They have a YouTube channel and an Instagram page, and she posted on Instagram her conversion a while ago, like maybe a year ago. And I took her conversion and I took the called for colors, and I also took a whole bunch of my thread that I had in stash and kind of cobbled it all together to do the threads that I'm using on this piece. I am stitching this on a silk weaver piece of fabric. I don't know the name, of course. And I love it. I just need to keep on working on it. So I've gone all the way down to the side where that pretty pear is. I need to get a bigger board. My pieces are bigger than my board. And I've gone all the way, this is the end. That's how wide it is. So I just have to keep going. But I really like it. I like the colors that I'm using, and that pear is my favorite part. I love it. So yeah, just one more big project that I gotta get working on. This is making me think, oh, what am I gonna work on today? Because it's about 2 o'clock today. I don't really have anything else that I have to do after this video, so I have a lot of stitching time and so many different projects to choose from, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna pick. Okay, I think the rest of my projects here are holiday Christmas projects that I am in the middle of. So this is kind of a finish and whip. I'm doing all the Santas in this book number 151, Santas and Snowmen. I might do the snowmen too, but I'm definitely doing the Santas because I'm also doing the Santas in book 215, A Merry Mini Surprise. I wanted them to be really small. So these are smaller than their regular yearly prairie schooler Santas. Because I have some of those and I love them, but they make for pretty large ornaments, whereas these are small, especially because I'm doing them on 36 count. So I'm doing two, I have these scrap pieces of fabric. No idea what kind they are, but I did those two. And then I did these two. And this guy actually isn't from either of those books. He's a standalone pattern, which I no longer have in my bag. So I'll see if I can figure out the name of that pattern and put it down below. So I have 4 done and a whole bunch more to do. So that's why it's still a whip. I'm just keeping them all in here. And as we get closer to Christmas, I will go ahead and finish whatever I've gotten done there. So I'm just writing down a note to myself that I need the pattern names for the Santas and for the finishes I showed you earlier, so I remember. Sometimes when I go back and edit the video, I don't remember everything I promise you I'm going to put in it when I'm doing the video. So the next whip I have is Stitching with the Housewives, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Well, I guess it's just called A Merry Little Christmas. And I happen to have a piece of XJU Designs fabric in a blue color. It is not the called for color, but it will work. And I have this started on it. I love the color. I just grabbed floss from my stash, a lot of Victorian Motto and DMC and Fancy Floss mixed in together. And so I'd like to get that done before this December because that's a pretty quick stitch. It's not too big. This is another one that I would like to get done this year. It is Heartstring Samplery It must have been the mistletoe. And I am using Classic Colorworks Silk, Belle Soie Silk, Attic Tea. Let's see if it's easier to see that against a white board. And it's beautiful silk. It's just slightly variegated and it is really nice to stitch with. I'm going to try and show you against this board here. I probably have a little over 1/3 of it done. So hopefully I can get that done. This is being stitched on a Picture This Plus, but I don't know what the name is. It is definitely 36 count and it's quite light. I'm not sure which one it is. So that is that one. And my very last whip. This is one that I restarted and I'm glad I did actually. I had originally done, it is A Weary World by Shakespeare's Peddler, and I love the pattern because that is one of my favorite Christmas songs. And I liked the way it looked on the front of the pattern, but this is an old pattern and so it's a little difficult to read. I originally started with colors that I picked from my stash and I did not like the way it was coming out. So then I went back and restarted it with the called for colors and I like it much better. But it's definitely doesn't look like Christmas, but that's fine. It's beautiful. I love the colors. This is being stitched on an Extra Designs 36 count. It's super dark. I don't know the color. It's hard to see how dark it is when it's, there's a lot of light shining through here. I'm gonna fold it over and then put it against the board and maybe it'll show up a little bit better how dark the modeling is on there. So, I don't know what the chances are of getting this whole thing done. It's not terribly big, but I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 Christmas whips and then a bunch of ornaments. So that's not too bad to be thinking I could get some of those done for the holidays and get them fully finished. Like I said, I have a bunch of finishes that I'm in the process of fully finishing. So I'm planning on finishing those before my next video. Whether I do that in 2 weeks or a month, I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. Let's see how long it takes me to edit and upload this. And then, of course, I'm going to be stitching mostly every night. And I'm not sure what I'm going to work on next, but I definitely will be working on my HAED here and there, several days during the month of May. And hopefully picking some of these projects that I haven't worked on in a while and giving them some love. And maybe a new start, we'll see. If I can get together what I want to use for pandemic, I might start that one before I see you next. So thank you so much for joining me. If you are still following my YouTube channel after 2 years, I really appreciate that. And I hope that you have enjoyed seeing what I am working on, and I will be back in a few weeks to show you some more stitching and hopefully some finishes and just have like a regular Flosstube video. So until then, happy stitching and stay well. Bye-bye.